Hello and welcome back into another CreekCast here on our YouTube channel, the Coahulla Creek Football YouTube channel. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode this week as we are coming off a big win last Friday night against the Murray County Indians, 45-0. It is fourth consecutive year that we've had a shutout victory, second largest margin of victory in school history. In fact, those 45 points. So big win. Later in the show, we will discuss our road trip over to Union County. So make sure you stick around for that. But I want to welcome in Coach Drew Carter, as we always do here. And Coach, just give me some overall thoughts on last Friday's game and kind of what you have addressed with the team after the game and since here now as you're in full week of preparation for Union County.
I mean, really proud of how our guys played. Complete game when you talk about all three phases of the game, really played well. And the most proud part of it is that we've been challenging them the last couple of weeks to, build their confidence, be confident in their teammates. And then we thought the final component of that going into that game was, hey, we got to compete every down, every phase of the game. And we finally saw those things come together in a big way. And maybe the best part as a coaching staff is the game wasn't perfect, which it never is. So there's plenty to coach on, plenty to correct, and plenty to build off of to go along with that confidence that we're taking out of that game.
And, how is that paralleled into, the team's confidence coming into this week? Because you felt like the team had some confidence coming off the LFO game. They had competed well against a team that's now 5-2. I think is in the top 12 in the state power rankings for 2A. So they competed really well against a really good football team the week before, took it into the fourth quarter in a one-score ball game. Didn't come out victorious in that game, but you felt like the confidence was high coming into this past week. What does that confidence look like this week coming off of such a big victory?
It definitely does. It seems to be building, which is exciting to see. And it should be because we're starting to click. Seem like we have some sort of an identity in every phase of the game. And guys just needed to see themselves make plays because we were kind of broken records as coaches at that point because it was just those little fundamental mistakes or little fundamental reads that were missing here and there. And we finally saw those things come together for the most part. And start to build from that, and then you feel confident in what we're doing. Going into game 8 at this point, and I've been saying that maybe if we can put a couple of wins together in a row, you never know what may happen as we get towards the tail end of the season.
So let's talk about the game more in detail from Friday night. Looking at some individual standouts, don't have to look very far. Kobe King, he's been getting lots of praise and accolades, and rightfully so, from last Friday night. I'll talk a little more about the accolades he's received here in just a moment, but let's talk about the game itself. First play from scrimmage, we come out, hit him with a deep ball, 58-yard touchdown pass. I know you practice that and you'd love to draw it up that way, but when you hit it on that first play of the game, when you take a deep shot, that really sends a message.
No doubt. I mean, that was a concept that we've been working on a couple of weeks now. Weren't able to hit it against LFO. They were really soft on us, but we thought we were going to get some miles out of that concept that we were running. But you're right. To see us make a splash play right out of the gate. I mean, it affects the scoreboard, but it was so infectious throughout the whole team. We showed the clip and film. And maybe one of the best parts about it behind the result was you've got like 4 or 5 guys you can see in the camera clips that are celebrating and they're so excited for their teammate and what that's doing for the team. So, Waylon and Kobe were on the same page to start with, and they pretty much stayed that way all night.
Kobe winds up with 5 catches for 207 yards, a new single-game school record for receiving yards. No one had ever had more than 161 in a game. Keith Collins had that back against Lafayette's in 2023, and so breaks that record. And I mean, not just breaks it, shatters it with over 40 yards per catch. Has 3 touchdown catches one that went for all of them for more than 50 yards. I think that's the most impressive part about it. He had a 58-yarder, a 51-yarder, and then a 67-yarder. And, he had two catch. I was listening back to the broadcast from Friday night. He had over 100 yards and two touchdown catches already in the first quarter. I said it looked like Randy Moss stats. He had two catches for 109 yards and two touchdowns in the first quarter. Added three more receptions to that, and the biggest one comes in the third quarter, which was the nail in the coffin. That put us in a situation where the rain turned into a running clock in the fourth quarter from 67 yards out. But not just offensively. We've talked a lot about Kobe defensively this year. He had another big night on defense. He had a fumble recovery, had a few tackles for loss, and had an interception in the game as well. His fourth interception of the season, which moves him into a tie for third for the most in a single season. So he's got an opportunity here the last few weeks to add to that as well. So, I mean, unbelievable stat line when you start talking about it. 207 yards receiving, 3 receiving touchdowns, which he ties Manny Dominguez for single game for most in touchdown catches. Fumble recovery, tackles for loss, interception. That's like video game numbers. And Kobe was recognized several different places for Player of the Week, but the most important one I want to talk about, I was texting with his mother yesterday. He was recognized by Georgia High School Football Daily and the Atlanta Journal-Constitution for top 5 performance in the entire state. I mean, there's a lot of good high school football in our state. Top 5 performance across the board. That's incredible.
Yeah, because you're not just talking about double A there. You're talking about all classifications for the whole state. So I don't know if you can say much more than that. If you're meeting that criteria, you played a whale of a game, and he did. And that's just the kind of stuff that you hope a guy that's a team voted captain is going to do for your team, because the numbers are what they are. But like when we were opening up the show, the way that he infected the whole team and that just built everybody up is the stuff that you hope for a guy that's a 3-year starter now. Things are really clicking for him, and he's doing a lot of good stuff for a football team.
Yeah, and one thing I wanted to encourage everyone to do, if you haven't done it in a while, I did a full kind of update looking through everything in our record book on our website this week. A lot of new stuff from 2025 that's filtered through on there. I've kind of updated Jackson Lowry's career tackle for loss total week to week on there, but we've got some new guys trickling through on there. Branson Lowry is now on there for trying to remember what it was for. I think it's for I'll have to go back and look. I know I put his name in for something on a, like top 3 school record in one category. We've got 3 different Lowrys now in our school record book. So I'm sure their mama loves that. But Waylon this past week moves into second all time in most touchdowns in career history with 25. Had 3 touchdown passes in the game. Career high in passing yards, 247. Tyler had had 100 yards rushing for the second consecutive week. First time he's ever put together back-to-back 100-yard rushing games. Just lots of great stats across the board. And, you talked about the momentum of making such a game-breaking play on the first play from scrimmage. I'll tell you another one that will really, really flip the momentum or just kept it in our favor. There was no doubt in my mind that we were going to lose the football game after we make a play like that to start the game, and then we come out and get a 3 and out and when you hear that ball hit that thud on a punt, the sound of a punt block, that is a very unique sound. If you've played football or been to football games long enough, you hear ball kick and then that smack of it being blocked. It was blocked by Branson Lowry. Wyatt Mann picks it up, runs it back for a touchdown. There was no doubt in my mind. I don't know. ESPN does that win probability, in games for college football and NFL games. I felt like ours was at 99.9%. I'm like, there's no way we're losing this football game after that start.
Well, it was awesome to see the defense go out there, like you said, with that energy, and even if it had just been a 3 and out and we got the ball back on a punt. But then you put that exclamation point on it because, again, guys, seeing that stuff happen, put a lot of work and emphasis into that throughout the season. We got one. We forced a bad snap, a mishandled snap against Chattooga earlier in the season, but we haven't seen it actually happen like you're saying with it get blocked. And we've put a lot of time and effort and emphasis on that as the season goes. But for the guys to finally see that now, hopefully it starts to carry some steam as we go forward. But you're right. I mean, those two big, huge plays to start the game. Our belief in our team and in each other was so high at that point. It was just, can we stay focused and not let our foot off the gas was the only question that we had.
Edward Alvarez added a field goal in the first quarter. He's now, I think that's his second or third field goal that he's made. Or actually, let me go back and look at the overview of the season here. But he's done exceptionally well kicking the football. Yes, 2 of 3 on field goals this year, 19 of 20 on PATs. He's continued to be just a consistent, steady cog. I know as a head coach, that's got to give you a lot of confidence knowing that you've got a reliable kicking game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the PAT and the field goal is the first thing that everybody's mind goes to because you're getting points off of those, and that's certainly a big piece with it. But how valuable he is with how he's able to kick the ball off into different places on the field so accurately, the height that we want to be able to do it with. And he does a great job punting the ball too with directional punts, understands where the returners are. He's able to manipulate that. So very valuable in a lot of different ways, not just putting the ball through the uprights.
And defensively, Friday night, I mean, I don't know. This is not a record that we've kept up with. I was actually talking to you about this after the game Friday night. It's not a record that we've kept up with, but maybe we need to start. I don't know what this has got to be close to a record if it's not for most team tackles for loss in a game. Just running down through here. That's what it was. Branson had 3 tackles for loss, which had him tied for third most in a game in school history. He had 3. Kobe had 3. Luke Turner and Wyatt Mann both had 2.5. Jackson Lowry had 2 tackles for loss. He's now up to 23 career total all time at the Creek. River Schote had a tackle and a half for loss. Colby, Fabian Orozco, new name, getting in there, filling in for Brandon Manus this past week. And Chevy Joyce, who's got a pretty career high total that's stacking up in that category as well. That's 4, 5.5, 7.5. We wound up with double digit tackle for losses against Murray County Friday night. We lived in their backfield.
Yeah. I mean, the momentum that creates for your defense, that's kind of the modern day football is offenses are so good these days that you're trying to get that one tackle for loss and just get them off schedule. And we seem like we did that every time they had a possession. And we've been in a lot of people's backfields this year, but we would overrun things and they'd get up underneath us or, we'd get too far inside and they'd get the edge on us. So again, for our guys to see those things happen and be successful was a huge deal for us because now it wasn't, hey, you got to do this. That's what it feels like to do that, do it right, and make the play. And then those guys, it kind of became a feeding frenzy with all those guys. It's just so many names that were so involved in flying all over the field. It's almost too many to keep up with from Friday.
3 sacks, too, which was a season high for most in the game. Jackson, Luke Turner, and Branson all had a sack in Friday night's contest. We were up 24-0 at the end of the first quarter, but we didn't score in the second quarter. Had several opportunities, got down inside the red zone a couple of times, came away empty-handed with a couple of interceptions. You talked about there was enough from this game to still coach them up on. Talking with you after the game, you were excited for the team, but there was an element of frustration and disappointment going into halftime because that lead could have been a lot bigger.
Yeah, it could have been. And like I said, that's kind of the nice thing as coaches when you win like that is you're able to build confidence in what we're doing, but it allows you to coach our kids in a manner that they're not going to be overconfident and take their foot off the gas because there's still more to go. We hadn't gotten to our ceiling, we don't feel like, and the kids have responded well to that. They got Waylon on a couple of coverage wrinkles that we hadn't seen. He's quick to learn. So he was right back into the film, trying to figure out what he can do better to help the team. So really proud of how he's responded to that. Just you watch the progress that he's made this year, from last year to this year, and then throughout the season this year, that's the way he approaches his game, and he's going to get those things corrected, and continue to build. Because really, those are really the only blemishes on his game Friday night. I think you had 12 for 18. And then there was a drop or two mixed in there, and then a couple, like I said, they got him on some coverages that we hadn't seen. So, pretty solid game by him outside of those.
Yeah, he's been back over 50% completion rate the last 2 weeks. He had a couple of games to start the year where had kind of a pretty low completion percentage. So he kind of started behind the eight ball. He's gradually worked himself almost back to a 50% completion percentage on the season, with an opportunity to get that over 50 here in the last three ball games. Before we thank our corporate sponsors, I wanted to take a moment to shout out some guys that got in the fourth quarter. We had some guys who don't get as much playing time, but have produced in opportunities when they've been given. Maddox Jackson had looked. It's amazing to see those fresh legs coming in the fourth quarter. It was just a jolt of energy when he came in. 31 yards on only three carries, had a touchdown run from 16 yards out. That's his second touchdown run of the season. He had a couple of good carries against LFO the previous week as well. Got to see Fisher Blankenship get in and get some playing time at quarterback as well. A lot of our ones stayed in on defense. They were trying to keep that shutout, which was only our fifth shutout in school history. As I mentioned, that's pretty amazing, though. We've had a shutout in 4 consecutive seasons. Going back to 2022, we shut out Chattooga at home in 2022. We shut out Ridgeland on the road in 23, and we shut out Murray County each of the last 2 seasons. So, tip of the cap to Ricky Holiday and the defensive staff and his players. The defensive staff's pretty much stayed intact for the most part, outside of Coach Wilson leaving. I know he played a vital role in the defense, but that's a nice streak. We hope that continues, where we can at least shut out an opponent every year. Just wanted to shout out some of those guys. Any thoughts on those people?
Yeah, it is a big deal, and because anytime you have that opportunity to do that, it's such a point of pride for the defense. And you be in those games sometimes where you do sub and they get it. It's kind of a letdown for those guys because they work so hard throughout those first 2 or 3 quarters or 3.5 quarters to kind of let it fall. So it was definitely a point of pride, and it's definitely something that builds us our momentum and kind of building a culture, especially on the defensive side of the ball.
Let's take a moment to thank our corporate sponsors. We'll start with S&M Auto and Repair and Towing, Hernandez Roofing, Mohawk Industries, the Todd Nelson Foundation, Engineered Floors, Keller Williams, the Blankenship Team, Lowry Tree Service, Precision Seamless Guttering, Selling North Georgia, Smoky Mountain Wood Products, Textile Rubber, Phoenix Roofing Systems, Dairy Queen, and Trinity Barbecue. So, Coach, we head out on the road this week for our longest road trip of the season. It's our last road game of the regular season, and good opportunity this week to continue to get some momentum. I say good opportunity. Every region game is a good opportunity to have a chance to go out and create some value for yourself and hopefully win a football game. This is going to be a long bus ride. I think I saw we're getting out of school at like 1:30 on Friday. We've been well traveled. We were back at home for the first time in 5 weeks. Now we go back out on the road before finishing up the last 2 weeks at home. What have you seen from Union County? And this is a longer bus ride. I think maybe 30 minutes further than Rockmart. So maybe nothing too crazy, but it's still a long drive over into the mountains in Northeast Georgia.
It is, yeah. The best benefit we have for us is we've got a pretty veteran team at this point, and I think we've learned how we need to prepare ourselves and how we need to handle ourselves when we do have a road trip, a longer road trip like that. We haven't responded perfect yet, but I'm hoping that it has built as we've gone through the season, and they've had to do that a lot last year as well. So hopefully they understand that and how to get themselves ready and kind of get that long bus ride out of because you can kind of get off and be kind of drowsy and that kind of stuff. But that's part of our job as a coaching staff to make sure that we get them moving a little bit and get the blood flowing once we get there. That will be the challenge, but hopefully we're leaning into the fact that we're a veteran team and going to be able to handle that in the right way. And the easy motivation of we're starting to build some momentum for ourselves. We've got a lot of opportunities in front of us for the goals that we put in front of ourselves for the season too. So if we can't get ourselves ready for that, then I don't have much to say then.
Yeah, Union County's got a first-year head coach, and it's been a difficult year for Union County. They're 1-6 on the year. New coaching staff, head coach has been battling an illness himself. I know Lindsey Douglas had texted me earlier this week that they were having. I'm not sure if it's the team or the cheerleaders, but wearing some ribbons for him as he's been battling cancer most of the season. So it's been what kind of relationship have you had with him so far? I know he probably one of your first times meeting him. It was this year, but it's been an uphill battle for them. So definitely prayers from the Coahulla Creek football program to their head coach. But I can't imagine trying to navigate a season while also battling, cancer.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Football's hard enough as it is. Being a new head coach at a place is even harder. Being a new head coach when you're battling all those things, I can't even fathom that. So it obviously speaks volumes of his character, his faith, and the type of mental toughness and grit he's got. And I think his team kind of reflects that. They've kind of taken on that personality. Seems like there's not a lot of quit in that team because they've played a lot of teams really tough. Um, so you can't say enough good things about him, Coach Stowe, and the type of program that he runs.
Yeah, Rob Stowe, the head coach there. Just keep him in your thoughts and prayers this week and throughout the future months as he continues to battle that illness that he's battling. But if you can't tune in to, or if you can make the drive over, the 2-hour trip over to Blairsville, Georgia, I believe it is. I would encourage you to do it though. If you can make the drive, it is one of the most picturesque, beautiful high school football sceneries you will see in the entire state of Georgia. It's nestled right there in the mountains. It's high elevation, and it's gorgeous. I've seen tons and tons of pictures. I've never been there myself, but you can just look at the pictures and tell how pretty it is. It's like it's like what you see in Murray County, but like on steroids. With the view. That's part of why I like going on the road at Murray is you get to see the foothills of the Appalachians in the background. This is even better. It's up in the mountains. So if you can't make the drive, though, we'll have you covered on the Coahulla Creek Sports Network this week. So, Coach, I hope you take a minute to kind of enjoy the scenery. I know that's not going to be the mission at hand, but it is a pretty cool venue from what I've heard.
Yeah, it'll be my first trip there, and I feel like I've seen a lot of really cool venues around the state, and I'm really looking forward to seeing it as well. Just me telling you that, I mean, to let you know that getting to see some cool places, whether it be, the stadium's really unique or it's in a really neat location, kind of like going to Blairsville. It's a piece of it, and we get really lucky too, and we're getting to travel there in the middle of October, so probably make it even more scenic and picturesque, as you said.
Yeah, some fall foliage along the drive there for our Colts this week as they take the caravan of Colts over to Union County. Coach, thank you for your time this week. For Coach Drew Carter, I'm Brooks Carter. We'll catch you back here next week on our YouTube channel, coming off our road trip to Union County and preparing for our homecoming contest against North Murray. So thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week.